Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do another deep dive into Tubi. And with that, let's get to the list.
She's got him now, Aben. There's nothing I can do. Innocence can be hell.
The Reflecting Skin is a 1990 Canadian-British dramatic horror movie. Written and directed by Philip Ridley, it stars Jeremy Cooper, Viggo Mortensen, and Lindsay Duncan. A young boy living in 1950s America fantasizes that a neighboring widow is actually a vampire, responsible for a number of disappearances in the area.
Tell me, how old do you think I am?
50?
Oh, no, I'm older than that. I'm 200 years old.
This is crazy. I had never even heard of this movie until this week. And I wish I remembered who left the comment saying I should check this out, but I am so grateful that you did, because this is really an interesting movie. Now, I'm not at all saying it's a perfect movie. It does have its problems, does have its flaws, but it's so weird and bizarre and uncomfortable and creepy. I love the look and style of it, and the performances from everyone. They're all strange. Like, everybody in this movie just performs in this odd way. And a big chunk of this movie is performed by a kid actor. And he's not the greatest actor, and that is one of the problems with the movie. But I think if you're patient with it and you just kind of learn to live with that element, it's worth it, because the story and the directions that it goes, the interesting things that it deals with, it's really a fascinating little movie. And for you animal lovers out there, this is a warning. There are some scenes in this that could trigger you, so just be careful going in. So I think if you enjoy slow burn, uncomfortable, strange movies, this is one you should absolutely add to your list.
So much flesh, so little time.
The hunt has begun.
Want to play ball, Scarecrow?
Strangeland.
Strangeland is a 1998 horror movie, directed by John Pyplow and written by Dee Snider. It stars Dee Snider, Kevin Gage, and Robert Englund. A detective pursues a sadist specializing in body modification rituals who lures teenagers through the internet.
How much is enough? It's been said that the road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom.
I really love this movie, and a lot of it is nostalgic for me. It takes me back to this era when the internet was new and body, piercings and all that, and tattoos and all that was just this, wild new frontier kind of thing. But I also know that a lot of that dates this movie, so I'm not exactly sure if a younger audience would enjoy this movie or not. But I do think there is still some really cool elements to this. It's very stylish, and Dee Snider is absolutely ruthless and just badass in this movie. I'll always love the look and style that he comes at this movie with. He's just so creepy and unnerving, very unsettling. I also love this movie's soundtrack. It really is just some of the best hard rock and metal from this era. But I still think this is a gritty, very entertaining movie that's absolutely worth checking out.
Father will do anything for his daughter, even the worst things.
I'm your new daughter. Come play with me.
The New Daughter is a 2009 horror movie. Directed by Luis Bermejo, it stars Kevin Costner, Ivana Baquero, and Samantha Mathis. A single father moves his two children to rural South Carolina, only to watch his daughter exhibit increasingly strange and disturbing behavior.
Louisa? Louisa, is everything all right?
Your daughter, is she changing?
What do you mean?
This was another first-time watch for me, and I was pleasantly surprised with this as well. Now, I'm not saying it's a game changer. This isn't, an all-timer or anything like that. It is just a fun, creepy, popcorn kind of horror movie. But it does do some things and goes some places, takes some chances, things that I was pleasantly surprised by. Beyond that, I mean, Kevin Costner is such a great actor, and to see him in a horror movie, and one like this that I had never heard of, was really cool because he really goes for it and gives one hell of a performance as this dad who's just really trying to figure out his kids and do the best he can to raise them on his own. And the cast in general, I think, does a great job. Just feel very believable. So not just Kevin Costner, but the kids as well. Just everybody feels very believable and really pulls you in with their performances. But I really appreciated that this movie was ballsy, and there are some things it does in it that may or may not be your jam, but it's very moody, atmospheric, and creepy, especially towards the end. I think this is a very cool movie that's definitely worth checking out. The Last Shift is a 2014 psychological horror movie, co-written and directed by Anthony DiBlasi. It stars Juliana Harkavy, Scott Pulley, and Joshua Meikle. A rookie cop is tasked with taking the last shift at a police station before it's permanently closed. But the night turns into a living nightmare.
I think they might all be dead.
This is a chilling, gritty, very, very dark little horror movie. It really is a hidden gem. It's one that, as much as I've talked about it, and I know other channels have mentioned this, it still really flies under the radar. And I get it, this is twisted. This is a very dark, gritty little movie, and that is just not for everyone. But it gets bloody and violent and just very, very evil. And last year, the same filmmaker remade this, and it's a movie called Malum, and it's basically the same exact movie as this. And as much as I appreciate it, I still prefer this one. There's something about when a budget is so small like this, it just gives it this gritty, extra dirty and grimy feel about it. And so adding more polish and special effects and all that didn't necessarily make for a better movie. I also think Juliana Harkavy's performance is fantastic in this and hard to top. So if you're one of those out there that have yet to see this and you like them dark, gritty, and gruesome, this is one that I highly, highly recommend.
Hell, I'm not entirely convinced it's not you. You like a werewolf or something?
After Midnight is a 2019 romantic horror movie directed by Jeremy Gardner and Kristen Stella. It stars Jeremy Gardner, Brea Grant, and Justin Benson. When his girlfriend suddenly disappears, leaving only a cryptic note, Hank's comfortable life and sanity begins to crack.
I'm all crazy without her. I'm going around town telling people there's a big bad wolf trying to blow our house down.
Maybe she got tired of waiting around.
You just tell your sister she ought to just come on home.
I really appreciate Jeremy Gardner. Just everything from his writing and directing to his acting, all these different indie movies he's done over the years, they're all really, really good. And it's fun to discover a new one every now and then and just be like, oh, I didn't realize he did this. And he just continues to pump out these movies that sadly fly under the radar, even though they're really, really good. And this might be his best performance yet as far as acting, because he is fully on display, his emotions and everything that he goes through in this movie. But it's hard to talk about the story of this without giving things away, because it goes in some interesting directions and it's more than what it seems like it's going to be on the surface. Because through this whole movie, you're questioning his sanity and you're not sure what's reality and what is his delusions. And it does a great job of walking that line all the way to the end until you finally figure out what's going on here. But it's funny and charming, emotional and riveting, and absolutely one you should check out.
We haven't been moving in circles, the runes have.
We have the key. The cube is us.
Cube is a 1997 Canadian sci-fi horror movie, co-written and directed by Vincenzo Natali. It stars Julian Richings, David Hewlett, and Andrew Miller. Without remembering how they got there, several strangers awaken in a prison of cubic cells.
Does anybody remember how they got here?
Why would they throw innocent people in here? Are we being punished?
There's a way in here, so there's gotta be a way out.
Do you think they'd go to all the trouble to build this thing if we could just walk out?
It's so impressive to me how well this movie still holds up. It wasn't that long ago that I rewatched this for the first time in a long time, and it's still so exciting. It's so interesting and thought-provoking. It's mysterious. They just do so much with so little. And it was way ahead of its time, because since then we have tons of movies that do this one location kind of issue where it's mostly about the dialogue and about the conversations and tension that's built between the people involved, not so much about the locations that they go to. But this was one of the early ones to do it and do it so effectively. Because on the surface, the premise is really, really simple. But once you turn up the pressure cooker and you put all these strangers in this situation, it starts to get more and more intense and exciting. But this is such a pioneer for sci-fi and horror. There is so much that this movie has gone on to inspire. So if it's been a while since you've seen this, or if you're one of those out there that have never checked this out, it should be the next thing that you watch.
It's gotta run its course. Now it begins. It begins.
Pumpkinhead is a 1988 folk creature feature horror movie, directed by special effects legend Stan Winston in his directorial debut. It stars Lance Hendrickson, John D'Aquino, and Joel Hoffman. After a tragic accident, a man conjures up a vengeful demon called Pumpkinhead to destroy a group of teenagers who were responsible.
Some folks say as how she's got powers.
Who are you?
Ed Harley.
What do you want, Ed Harley?
So as I was putting this list together, I found out that Spirit Halloweens are starting to open up. There's one open near me. And that just got me so excited because we're rolling into the spooky time of year. And so that just made me think about my favorite Halloween and just fall type of horror movies. And this is one that is really near the top. I just love this movie. The atmosphere, the folk creepiness, the witch in the woods, everything about how this movie looks and feels just feels like that Halloween, creepy, haunting, atmospheric time of year, and all the things I love so much about it. On top of that, the way Pumpkinhead looks is incredible. Stan Winston was just such a genius and made so many of our favorite creatures, especially from the 80s and 90s. And so I've always found it so fitting that this was his first movie that he directed, because he didn't just do the special effects. I mean, he made this movie and it shows. It just feels, like I said, just feels like that time of year. So I think if you're like me and you're just starting to dip your toe into the Halloween season, this is a fantastic pick.
Wow. Disturbing behavior.
Disturbing Behavior is a 1998 sci-fi horror movie. Directed by David Nutter, it stars James Marsden, Katie Holmes, and Nick Stahl. The new kid in Cradle Bay, Washington, stumbles across something sinister about the town's method of transforming unruly teens into upstanding citizens.
They're brainwashed, lobotomized, programmed. They used to be my friends.
Gavin thinks some sinister force is taking over the Cradle Bay meatheads.
A sinister force?
I've always had so much fun with this. This is another one that's very nostalgic for me. It takes me back to this era when it comes to music and style and just having a huge crush on Katie Holmes at the time. Just everything about this movie, just like I said, is very nostalgic. But I find it so entertaining and really underrated because it reminds me a lot of like a Twilight Zone episode. And so it has that eerie, uncomfortable quality to it. But it doesn't take itself too serious. It's just a popcorn thriller that knows what it is and really has a good time with it. But I love the cast. I love the directions that it takes. It's just a great time and one that's definitely worth checking out.
Midnight Meat Train.
The Midnight Meat Train is a 2008 mystery horror movie. directed by Ryuhei Kitamura, and based on Clive Barker's 1984 short story of the same name. It stars Bradley Cooper, Vinnie Jones, and Leslie Bibb. A photographer's obsessive pursuit of dark subject matter leads him into the path of a serial killer who stalks late-night commuters.
It began with a photograph. A single act of unthinkable evil.
This is such a badass movie. Vinnie Jones is just terrifying in this. And just in general, I love the look, the style, the feel. It's creepy, it's uncomfortable, it's twisted. It feels like a traditional kind of serial killer movie, but yet it goes in some different directions and does some things that I think if you've never seen this and don't know what happens will catch you off guard. It has this real cat and mouse mystery element to it, but then it also gets gory and straight up horror at times as well. It's slick, stylish, and very entertaining, and absolutely deserves more attention. So I think you should definitely give this a look. Hollow Man is a 2000 sci-fi horror thriller. Directed by Paul Verhoeven, it stars Elizabeth Shue, Kevin Bacon, and Josh Brolin. A brilliant scientist's discovery renders him invisible, but when his fellow scientists are unable to restore him back to normal, he becomes increasingly unstable and eventually goes on a killing spree.
We're ready for you.
Are you sure?
Positive. Here goes nothing.
So this is another film adaptation of The Invisible Man, and it's one that is kind of flown under the radar somewhat, and I don't know exactly why that is, because it has a brilliant cast, and Kevin Bacon as the villain is just amazing in it. He's so egotistical and slowly becomes more and more corrupt, and ultimately becomes just an absolute villain by the end. And I know some of the CGI, the special effects, don't exactly hold up, but I do think it gives it some charm in a way as well. But it's not an incredibly deep movie. It doesn't take itself super serious. It's not like The Invisible Man from a couple years ago. This is not that kind of movie. This is much more of a popcorn thriller. But I still think it's a great time. I think it's absolutely a lot of fun. And like I said, some of the CGI doesn't really hold up, but some of what they do is very groundbreaking and absolutely holds up till this day. Just the whole scene of Kevin Bacon's character becoming invisible, if you're into special effects like I am, then it's definitely one that I think you'll be interested in seeing. But just in general, this movie is a great time. It's one to not take overly serious. You gotta check your brain at the door just a little bit, but one that I think is perfect for this Saturday night. So do yourself a favor this weekend, guys. Pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! And I want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys mean so much to me. And if you would like to help support this channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description, or you can become a channel member by going and clicking on that join button down there. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun. And if you enjoyed this, click right here to see me talk about 10 more movies that I think you'll enjoy. And I'll see you guys next time.